welcome to the Marvelous Post-Blip Podcast, a podcast on all things Marvel and the Fangirl Zone. I am Mischievous Dave.
I am Shawn, Fangirl S.
And I'm Steve, and today we're talking about Episode 6 of Season 1 of Moon Knight, titled God and Monsters, written by Jeremy Slater and directed by Mohammed Diab.
Steve, we're going to have to make you an Egyptian god.
Yes.
I'm Osiris Steve. So, last one. Let's see. Right up until the last one, they tweeted out that it was the season finale.
Right.
And they tore that down and put series finale. I mean, it had a lot of people doing whiplash about whether it's coming back or not.
And then Oscar Isaac has posted, like, he wouldn't be sad if it's not renewed. Mm. But I'm like, wait a minute. What are you trying? But
he also said he'd do it anytime.
Yeah. So I think they're just messing with us at this point, to be honest.
On a whiplash. Yeah. So since it's the series or season finale, what was your reaction? Shawn, you got one?
I enjoyed it. I have more questions, and I'm like, come on. You guys can't leave us like this. And especially, like, the final reveal. It's like, what the hell? But, you know, since Dave likes to rate it without rating it, I am going to rate it without rating it. And I'm going to give it 4.5 kaiju conchus. So that's where I'm at.
Coincidence. Go ahead, Steve. What you got?
Well, I enjoyed the hell out of this episode. This was a lot of fun. And Scarlet Scarab, anyone?
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah. Scarlet Scarab.
Yeah.
Getting done work.
What did you say about Shrimp Scampi? What?
Well, I didn't like it as much as the previous entry. That one was an all-time classic. But I did give it 4 out of... Well, like Shawn said, we're not rating it. But if we did, I give it 4 out of 5. Just like Shawn, raging kaiju battles. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, I'm like... Well, I had just watched... oh, crap. I don't even remember the movie with the giant robots. I'm like having a brain fart. But I was just watching it like before I watched this episode. So that's why I'm like, it's the kaiju.
Yep.
And everybody's just cool about it, apparently, in Egypt. They're like, oh, yeah, that's happening again.
Yeah, there was some debate as to whether the people of Cairo could actually see that. But since it was affecting, like, trees and shrubbery and buildings and stuff, so I'm assuming they can, though there didn't seem to be widespread panic.
Well, I know everybody noticed the light, or was that only supposed to be, which I'm sure we'll get to, and I'm sorry, only supposed to be Amit's followers? I thought it was everybody, so I just assumed everybody could see this, and they're like,
I
oh.
Could see him too, but there's apparently some online debate. I mean, like, where's the raging panic throughout Cairo or something? I don't know.
Is this like the old... Oh, go ahead.
But one lady that she saves asks if she's an Egyptian superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she saw her.
Oh, she saw her, but
yeah.
What about the raging kaijus?
Yeah, we don't know if they saw Amet or Khonshu in this, but
yeah, I'm starting to think that this was like old school Godzilla, where everybody in Tokyo is like, oh, okay, he's here again. All right.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, is that what's happening in Egypt? I'm like, I definitely need to book a trip because not as exciting out here. I want to see the kaiju. What the heck?
Oh, I meant to go back and try and find the part, but did you guys notice when all the avatars met? I'm just jumping ahead a little. Maybe we'll get to it. That one of them like popped out and said, "What are your gods doing?" Did you hear that?
No, I only watched it once. Yeah. Dang it.
Yeah, one did ask that, and it's like,
"Who are you?"
Yeah, what's this about?
Yeah, there was nothing after that, right?
No.
I'm trying to think. Well, that's Odin's people. I guess. I don't know. Well, okay, we'll get there, I guess.
Okay, well, let's jump into the recap, which is so very long. Mm-hmm. As Moon Knight joins the fray, Mark, Steven, and Khonshu must work together to stop Amit. Wow.
Spoiler alert.
Right? Because we didn't know that was coming.
Right. And we pick up right where we left off as Arthur Harrow and his disciples surround Mark Spector's lifeless body, retrieving Amit's body from his pockets. Paying final respect, Harrow places the golden scarab on his bullet-ridden chest and apologizes. I'm sorry it had to be this way, Mark Spector, Stephen Grant. Whoever else might be in there. Well, that's foreboding.
Yeah, I heard some people were saying that's why he shot him twice, so he could get Mark and Steve.
Yes. I think he probably should have shot him about 10 more times.
Yeah.
Just to make sure. Sometimes we need the cold light of death before we can see reality. Approaching his disciples with Amit's body in hand, Harrow readies the congregation to heal the world as he lifts his double-headed crocodile cane, purple energy emanating from it.
Well, it's not a double-headed anymore.
No. That was a awesome change.
That was pretty cool.
That's too bad Prince wasn't around to see it.
Yeah. Examining Mark's body, Layla stifles her cries for her husband and embraces him one last time. Pocketing the golden scarab and exiting the cave, Layla hides among the group of Harrow's disciples. At a heavily guarded police checkpoint, the vehicles of Harrow and his group are stopped. The Egyptian Police Department questioned Harrow's presence on this remote road. Stepping out of the first truck and refusing to show their papers, Harrow demands instead for the police to show him their souls. Striking his scepter into the ground, purple energy emits from the chests of all the guards, and all but one had their soul ripped out of their body. Harrow proclaims the officer as a good man and welcomes him among his group of disciples.
I love how that guy, when he kind of comes back, he's like, the hell just happened?
Yeah.
It makes the whole thing, I mean, people, is kind of whimsical on a part of Harrow and Amit. That is it really measuring like that little old lady, whether useful or not useful, actually, to Amit. That's the way it seems to be boiling down to.
That's exactly what I was thinking, because I'm like, okay, these are just all horrible people, or horrible for Amit's purposes, is what I was thinking.
Right.
As the disciples hurry to move the fallen bodies out of the way on the road, Layla quietly stalks behind them, prepared to enact revenge on Harrow with the dagger. However, a voice from one of the dead bodies pleads with Layla to not do it. Dismissing it, Layla proceeds forward and communicating from another dead body closer to Layla. Tarawet introduces herself as an Egyptian deity and that it is Mark who is sending this message for her to stop. Tarawet cautions that Harrow is too powerful for Layla to stop him on her own. If Mark can return to life, he will need Khonshu. Tarawet tells Layla to break Khonshu's body, currently held in the Chamber of the Gods. Tarawet states that Layla can be her avatar, as Mark has told her lovely things about her, which Layla aggressively rebukes.
Yeah, that's, you can be mine. It's like, no.
Funny to hear that voice on dead bodies.
Yeah, those guys, and then you hear that like really soft, like female voice coming out. It's like, that sounds like we can have a tea party and we can just go chill. It's like, this is really weird because we just heard them very harsh. And so total change, and I loved it. But I love how Layla was just mad that she even asked about her being her avatar. It's like,
so,
no.
What?
No, keep going. I want more.
At the Chamber of the Gods, the avatars of each of the gods in the Aeneid arrive in a panic, sensing a great disturbance in the force.
Told you so.
Little late. No, thanks, guys.
Catch up, kids.
Right.
Yatzil, the avatar of Hathor, asserts that someone is trying to release Ammit into the world. Salim, the avatar of Osiris, realizes it's Harrow. That's like when Jean-Luc Picard puts his head in his hands, like,
yes.
Now you're here?
Yeah.
Harrow and his disciples breach the chamber as the Aeneid's walls fall before them. In the Chamber of the Gods, Harrow welcomes his disciples to join him inside as Layla slips away from the main group. Noticing that the avatars lining up to oppose him, Harrow states that they're merely judges, not warriors, therefore a battle doesn't need to happen. As Slim makes the first move, Harrow raises his scepter. And just prior to that is when we got the scene when somebody walks on, some blonde hair, blue eyed, right? Asking about their gods.
Right.
Oh my God, I gotta watch it right now.
I thought they were going to identify him as, part of the Asgardians or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what? I did read something about a cut scene that somehow was linking this to the Eternals. So I wonder if there was something with that.
Could be.
Questions.
As Slim makes the first move, Harrow raises his scepter with the bodies of the Neodavers strewn about. Harrow smashed at the Ushpati within the most sacred place inside the chamber, releasing Amit. Harrow and his disciples kneel in the presence of the powerful deity. In her daunting and glorious presence, Amit asks to whom she owes her gratitude. Looking at her intense crocodilian eyes while kneeling in reverence, Harrow explains he's merely a humble disciple and the goddess owes him nothing. I still think he was calculated by him.
Oh,
really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you don't need me. Oh, shut up. But Amit did look awesome, though.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So Amit states his scales lack balance as Harrow lowers his head, processing her judgment. Remorseful, Harrow acknowledges their status, hoping that his penance would correct any imbalance. Blah, blah. He accepts the scales regardless of the outcome. Good man. Elaborating, Amit admits the lack of balance because of what lies ahead for Harrow. Bracing for death, Harrow closes his eyes and willingly submits his life in order to spare the world of pain he will cause.
Too late.
Amit elaborates again that what lies ahead is his service to her, delaying his death. She once relied on a servant whose scales balanced perfectly, which ultimately led her to being bound in the stone prison for over 2,000 years. See, it's all up to her. She can decide. It's not carved in stone. Still confused, Harrow offers his disciples, all with balanced scales, who would never betray her and are waiting for her command. They are worthy of her service. He is not.
Blah, blah, blah.
End it there, Harrow. I know.
Amit proclaims that he is the ideal avatar she needs, and it was Harrow who set her free. Meh. Yeah, you know what? Whatever. Harrow and Amit, they pretty much deserve each other. But placing her hand on Harrow's head, seeing the scars he's endured, the goddess tells him that the pain of his past should not control you, referring to his previous servitude to Khonshu, or so we assume. Her power spreads within him as his eyes glow with Amit's purple energy. Within the recesses of the Chamber of the Gods, Layla discovers the gallery, which seemed a lot smaller to me. I don't know, maybe just me.
Right.
Where all of the Ushpatis of the gods lie. Seeking the one that belongs to Khonshu, Layla grabs it and runs off. I really wanted her just to start throwing everything down, bah, bah, bah,
Right.
bah.
Yeah. Just clear the place out. Let's let them all out.
Yeah.
Now, Jason did say to me, he's like, but what if they were real jerks? Do we really want to let all of them out? And I'm like, do you see what's happening? And he's like, what if they decide to ally with Amit? And I'm like, damn it. Quit making sense. I just wanted to see a huge smash of all the gods and they'll all come back.
That would be a very Marvel thing to do, though.
Yes, it would have.
Been like, let's figure this out later. Smash.
That definitely would have gotten the Eternals in the episode.
Yeah, probably. But by smashing the Ishpati, Layla releases Khonshu. Standing before Layla, Khonshu remarks that he no longer senses Mark Spector in the world, realizing he has died fighting. Layla harshly corrects him that Mark died fighting your war. It's like, ooh, okay, calm down.
Not going to happen.
Khonshu proclaims that the war is far from over, and if Mark is truly gone, will she, Layla Fawali, I say her name wrong, I'm sorry, be his avatar and protect the travelers of the night. And pretty much pissed off Layla.
Oh, big time.
She reminds Khonshu that you're the one who turned Mark's life into a waking nightmare. Why would I ever sign up to be your avatar? And Khonshu states that you can't win this alone. And Harrow and Amit are just way too strong for just you. So Layla would rather take her chances than be part of his army. Wow. Khonshu reveals that Mark was in a crisis over her, and it was his lack of focus that got him killed. Oh yeah, that's going to win her over. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
no.
He's dealt with a lot of pissed off women, obviously. To defeat Amit, they have to rebind the deity, but only an avatar can do that. Addressing her loyal followers, Amit, meanwhile, is telling the group that they'll purify the souls of the world, beginning with Cairo. And they head to the exit, but are suddenly blocked by Khonshu's presence. I'm like, okay, we finally get to see this. Everybody's seeing it, right? It's not just like Layla and Haro. Because that would be really weird, I think. Amit tells Khonshu her plan is set and it's the same as anyone's. I'm here to bring balance. Which, yeah, are you really? Which Khonshu dismisses, and if you select a sinner like Haro to be your avatar, obviously you're not trying to balance anything.
No.
Amit is amused at Khonshu's jealousy of Haro's loyalty to her. Really? Is that what it is? Khonshu demands Amit see that the loyalty means nothing if she and her disciples inherit an empty world, which I thought that line was interesting. Right. Because does Khonshu know that the way Amit would do it, basically everybody's just dead, basically? I mean, except the few crazy people. Is it going to be worse than the snap?
Right, absolutely. At the Field of Reeds, Mark Spector takes in the peace and beauty as Tarouette assures him that his scales are balanced, his heart finally full, his journey is over. Here, he is free from all pain, loneliness, and hurt. But Mark can only think about Stephen. Unfortunately, he's gone as the Duat now have him. Viewing it unfair, Mark demands that they go back for Stephen. However, if he leaves the Field of Reeds, he will never be able to return. Well,
that's a mighty long time.
Yeah.
It's like never. And if he's free from hurt and pain, shouldn't he not be feeling anything for Stephen?
Exactly.
I know.
There's a typo.
Tarouette tells him that he doesn't even need Stephen anymore, which further upsets Mark. Why should he go on to an eternal peace while Stephen remains lost in the sand forever? Mark turns back to search for Stephen as the Field of Reeds disappears. Back in the sands of the Duat, Mark sees Stephen's frozen in sand body and heads towards him. Emotional, Mark speaks to Stephen, acknowledging their dire circumstance. Opening his heart, he tells Stephen that it was his arrival that saved him from enduring his bleak childhood. He only survived because he knew he wasn't alone.
That was pretty sad for me. I don't know about you guys.
Yes.
But it's like, oh, this is painful. Just watching it, yeah.
Painful and weird.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He apologizes for failing to protect Stephen's hope and life. As Mark begins to turn to sand, he proclaims that he couldn't have abandoned him and gone to the Fields of Reeds without him. Placing his full heart in Stephen's hand, Mark remarks that Stephen was the real superpower that he never possessed. As both altars are frozen in sand, the gates of Osiris open behind them. With the light beyond the gates shining upon them, Mark and Stephen are no longer frozen in sand, and they embrace as they see the gates opening. With the sands of the Duat approaching them in a tsunami fashion, Mark and Stephen help each other to race towards the open gates as Tarouette uses her boat to slow the sands.
I thought that was funny when she's like
Dune or something.
Right. Or when she's like, oh, Osiris, you big softy. It's like, yeah. It was really cute. I couldn't figure out what the whole tsunami thing was, though. It's
right,
like,
yeah.
Is it like nobody's ever come back? Is that what that's supposed to be? And it wanted to reclaim them, or like it's trying to push them out? I wasn't quite sure what it was supposed to be.
Well, yeah, Osiris is the boss.
Mess with the Duat.
I guess. You can just sail across it. That's all. Yeah. So Amit reflects on how Khonshu, for a god, is low on faith. The two gods charge one another within the Chamber of Gods in a vicious battle. The goddess takes her time enjoying her torment over Khonshu. Amit encourages him to beg her to spare him, but he firmly states he'd rather have obliteration than mercy. As Mark and Stephen cross through Osiris's gates, they reawaken in Alexander the Great's burial chamber back in their old body. Sensing Mark back in the land of the living, Khonshu transports himself to his former avatar before Amit can strike a savage blow. Like, where'd he go? Mark struggles as he's still fatally wounded by the bullets in his chest. As crucial events replay in his mind, Khonshu asks Mark once more if he chooses death or life at the cost of servitude to his masters. Suddenly, Mark's body forces the 2 bullets out of his chest. Pop, pop.
Yeah.
Regaining Khonshu's protection, Mark's body is enveloped by the healing ceremonial Moon Knight armor. Meeting Khonshu outside at the dig site, Mark approaches his master. Khonshu jokingly remarks that he knew Mark missed him. Yeah. To which Mark questions if Layla turned him down. Ha ha.
Yeah.
He knows the truth. Come on.
Yeah. Now serious, Khonshu tells Mark he needs his help to defeat Amit. Now, switching seamlessly between their identities, Stephen as Mr. Knight appears asking to refine their working arrangement. Flabbergasted, Khonshu is appalled that Stephen would negotiate now in the middle of a dire of circumstances with so much at stake. And so, exasperated, Khonshu states he will release them both. They have his word.
Or
Go to the bank on that one. In the main chamber, Layla discovers a gravely injured Salim, dragging him towards a hiding spot. Lifting him to safety in the hidden corridor, Layla reveals she was the one who released Khonshu. Layla asks the Avatar how they could stop Amit. With his last few breaths, Salim reveals that this chamber is the most powerful place within the walls. They need to imprison Amit in a mortal form, a body instead of a statue, so she will be vulnerable. However, to do it, they need more avatars than what they have left. With that, Salim succumbs to his injuries. Without other options, Layla calls out Tarawet. Speaking through Salim's body, Tarawet screams out her excitement.
Nothing like giving away her location.
Yeah.
The disturbance signals to Haro and his disciples of Layla's presence in the location. I guess she doesn't have much practice.
No.
As Layla runs to her search for safety, avoiding falling chunks of stone, Haro uses his scepter to destroy the Chamber of the Gods. He has no respect for anything.
No.
With only bodies present, Tarawet speaks to Layla while momentarily taking control of her body, delighted that Layla had a change of heart.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Come on, with the back and forth.
It's the happiest hippo I've ever seen. She's beyond thrilled to take Layla on as her temporary avatar, revealing that Layla's father will be soon over the moon once he hears. Whoa! I guess he gets to watch. Surprising Layla, Tarawet shares that she met him when she accompanied him to the Field of Reeds, outside of the Chamber of Gods at the peak of the pyramid, and overlooking Cairo. Haro lifts his scepter as he recites an incantation. With purple lightning erupting around the sky, or purple rain. Harold calls upon his disciples across the city. With Amit's power funneled through them, her disciples begin judging people en masse, ripping souls from bodies. Amit grows in power as she swallows each new soul. That was so weird.
Yes.
Yeah, that was like really messed up. It's like, judge everybody. It's like, okay, calm down. That was very aggressive.
Oh, she needs all that power from those souls.
Yeah, air swallowing.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Mm.
I have questions, though, before we go too far.
Okay.
Why did the other gods, why were they not able to heal their avatars?
Well, let's see. They said earlier if you're trapped in a human body, it'd be easier to keep her in her place. So does this apply? Now that they're released from their bodies? Well, but they need more bodies. They'd have to, what?
Release the other
some
ones?
of the disciples become avatars? That's not going to happen.
Right.
So that there's nobody to inhabit, I suppose.
I was just wondering about that, but now that you say that about the being in the bodies, because they were obviously in the bodies, it wasn't just, working through them at that point. Okay, so that does make a little more sense. So does that mean those 4 are gone forever now? Is that what they're trying to tell us?
I guess so. That's what I would assume.
Yep, me too.
If we get another season, maybe we'll find out. So within the chamber, Layla emerges among the rubble. Now that she's the avatar of Tarawet, Layla stands before us as the Scarlet Scarab in a ceremonial armor complete with wings.
Yeah. Well, just to go back to our last point, the gods aren't dead. They just have nowhere to go, I suppose.
Right.
Right?
They can't manifest in physical form because they don't have an avatar.
Yeah. Please continue, young lady.
Yeah, see, now I'm going to keep thinking,
Okay.
but what about, because Khonshu had, manifested when his avatar was dead. That's why I'm like, what? Anyway, all right.
Did he?
Yeah, when he was fighting Amit before Mark came back.
Okay, let me think on that.
I'm just so confused.
Well,
As Haro continues his incantation, I love this. Out of the corner of his eye, he spots a flash of white lightning shooting towards him. Now, if we could just go back a second, because that was pretty funny when it's like, how are we going to get there? We're so far away. And Khonshu was like, yeah, I got this, remember? Travelers of the night. And I love how Steven's like, yeah, Mark, you take this one.
Yeah.
So let me think. I was thinking on this. So Khonshu was talking to Layla.
Yeah.
Right? And he shouldn't be able to. Well, he was released from his stone prison.
Right.
I don't know how he can manifest himself unless it was the same time that Osiris freed Steve and Mark, and that's what allowed him to talk with Layla. Because he did say, I sense him back in the real world.
Right.
I think he was talking to Layla before that, though.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He's not reading the rules. Somebody's not reading the rules.
Well, it may be because they were in the Temple of the Gods. And the others were not. Their avatars were there, but they're off in their other little
What
peaceful dimension.
The overdrive or whatever it's called. Yeah, maybe that's it. Okay. Oh, that's a lot of loopholes in his contract here.
Yes.
See, I start finding the weird stuff. It's like, wait a second. But anyway, let's go back to the flashing white light shooting towards him. We get to realize, along with Haro, that it's Moon Knight, and he is charging at his rival. Their power battle carries out into the sky, which was pretty interesting, with Moon Knight and Mr. Knight switching seamlessly among each other, preventing Haro's hold, just as Amit and Khonshu mirror the fight in their own battle on a colossal scale. Kaiju fight. Amit sees no difference in their causes. Why must they do this dance for the rest of time? Khonshu only punishes the people who have committed evil, as does Amit, but she doesn't allow them the satisfaction of completing their evil. That's... I don't know. I don't feel like that's a good thing, but at the same time, do you really want them to complete it? It's like, and what are you considering evil? Are you mad that somebody jaywalked? I mean, come on.
Right.
That's when you start ringing the bullshit bell. Bullshit. Ding, 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 ding.
Once more, Amit asks Khonshu to join alongside her. Khonshu fights back as it's his choice, the very thing that Amit removes from other people. Haro and Moon Knight / Mr. Knight land in the middle of a heavy populated area. And before Haro can blast him with the scepter, Scarlet Scarab flies in and knocks Haro out of the way. She deflects one of Haro's blasts with her wings, which were pretty cool, sending the force back onto him, which, by the way, if you haven't seen it, there's already a Funko Pop of the Scarlet Scarab with wings out.
That's cool.
Nice.
Mark and Layla quickly embrace, both equally shocked to see the other. Steven suddenly switches with Mark, lavishing praise onto Layla. Ready to show Layla his new set of skills, Mr. Knight, armed with his truncheons? Okay. Run towards Haro, taking down every disciple along the path. As a team, Scarlet Scarab and Moon Knight charge at Haro in a coordinated takedown. I can't talk. One of Haro's blasts from his scepter hits a van full of Egyptian civilians who are trying to escape the area. Scarlet Scarab flies over to save a young girl that would have been hurt had the van overturned on her. This was the part where you asked if she was an Egyptian hero, which I'm like, oh, okay. Moving all the civilians away from the van, the crowd cheers in awe and with pride as an Egyptian superhero has protected them. And this, I don't know if we're talking about this later, I did notice that the director stated that Scarlet Scarab is doing for the Egyptian people what Black Panther did for Africans. And I'm like, okay, like they have somebody to look on and see themselves, because representation does matter. Unleashing his rage upon Mark, Haro claims that young Randall's life would have been saved and Mark's family happy had Amit been allowed to rule and remove one weed from the garden, aka Mark. I was a little pissed with that, I will tell you. Because if it's evil, Mark didn't do anything evil.
No.
So that just like
Just had a mistaken judgment that got his brother killed. So
Yeah.
okay, putting it that way, that doesn't sound any better.
yeah.
But I was just so mad the way he said it. It's like, oh, you are a POS. We'll talk about that later. Mark is suddenly overwhelmed by Harrow's power, probably because he was a little taken aback by that comment. His crescent blades tossed, pinning Layla to the van. Not good. As Harrow stalks towards him like a predator, and he has trapped his prey. Laying on the ground, part of Moon Knight's armor blown to bits and mask retracted, Mark's specter is in obvious pain. In the distance above the night sky, Mark witnesses Amit bringing Khonshu to his knees, losing as well. Again, very interesting watching both of them play out. With the scepter unleashing Amit's power onto him, and the odds look quite grim. Mark looks over and sees disciples unloading a fury of bullets onto a cornered Layla. I was a little ticked with that myself, but...
Yep.
Mark loses consciousness, then suddenly opens his eyes in a daze, discovering he's holding an unconscious and brutalized Harrow in one hand and a broken scepter to Harrow's head in the other. Probably shouldn't have woke up yet. Just saying.
Yeah.
Surrounding...
I wonder what he looks like. Does he look like Moon Knight when he does that? Or does he look like a cab driver?
Yeah.
He's got that little hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm sure he looks just like Moon Knight.
Okay, wow.
Well, I don't know. It might be a third costume.
Yeah, it could be.
Wait,
Seeing
aren't you the
Steven's
comic...
got one.
Aren't you the comic book guy with this one, Dave? What's going on? Shouldn't you know?
Yeah, no, they all look like Moon Knight.
Oh.
Until Mr. Knight appears, but yeah, no, there isn't they're in the comics, but this isn't the comics, and they have made their changes, so it's too bad we didn't get to see something like that.
A lot of people were mad about that, by the way.
Oh.
That they felt like it was kind of a cop-out, not showing us anything till the very end, but... Well, I'm sure we'll get to that. But surrounding Mark, there are bodies of Harrow's disciples and, well, mass destruction that he can't account for. I love how Mark then asks Steven, is this your doing? And Steven's like, not a chance, mate. Yeah, I don't think Steven would be quite to that point. But confused, he drops Harrow and looks over to see a mortified Layla. He can't explain what happened because he blacked out. Well, Layla watched it, right? So, she should tell us something.
Yeah.
But interrupted in the distance, Layla and Mark see Amit dragging a defeated Khonshu. Layla knows how to end this. She tells Mark to grab Harrow and the pieces of the scepter. Back in the Chamber of the Gods, they place an unconscious and beaten to all hell Harrow onto a slab of stone. The power in the room will help them bind Amit to Harrow's vulnerable body. I hate saying that word. I always say it wrong. Sorry. Holding hands, they begin an incantation as energy flows from them and through the statues of the Enid within the chamber. I love how they just knew it. It's like, Khonshu's kind of down for the count. I'm guessing it was all Tauret that pretty much was like, all right, I know this one. Just follow me.
Right. Yes.
The circle of energy begins to feed into Harrow as Amit realizes what's happening. Feeling herself sucked back towards the chamber, looking a little pissed off. Speaking through Harrow, Amit threatens that they'll never be able to contain her. She'll never stop. Sounds like a madman to me. Yeah. With Khonshu and Tauret no longer in control of Mark and Layla's respective bodies, Khonshu tells Mark to finish it and end Harrow/Amit, leaving neither of them alive. While he lives, so too does she. Wow. Super, creepy sounding. Okay. Mark believes that he has to do this, otherwise he'll never be free. But Layla stops him, reminding him that he is free and that this is his choice. I was like, no, do it. End this. Believing that Khonshu now sounds exactly like Amit, Mark lets go of Harrow. If Khonshu wants them dead, he'll have to do it himself. Now Khonshu must release Mark and Steven. Yeah, that was very specific. Khonshu begrudgingly complies and leaves.
Never trust a god.
No, never ever. A glimpse of the white void. Steven is back in Dr. Harrow's office questioning if this is what reality looks like. He asks the doctor if he believes that Khonshu and Amet are real. Haro responds no, he does not, as he gets up and walks back to his chair. Mark Boyce poses that they disagree and believing in something different. Dr. Haro deduces that their work here continues. Looking at the floor, Mark notices Haro's trail of bloody footprints, which leaves the doctor perplexed. I guess so. Realizing that Haro doesn't know as much as he leads on, Mark and Steven refuse to accept his diagnosis. Instead, they rather go save the world. Later, Gators. Mark suddenly wakes up in Steven's apartment flat, his legs shackled by his homemade restraints. The sand around the bed is undisturbed. Mark calls out to Steven out loud if he's there, to which Steven responds that he can't believe it worked. Mark, however, can't believe Steven lives with this frickin' mess.
Yeah. Something
of course, falls out of the bed.
Right. That was funny. Something I noticed when they were in the asylum moment, like when he was talking to Haro, I swear he's doing that talking through his teeth thing again, which I was assuming was Jake.
Yes, there was a moment in there that Jake appeared.
Okay. And I'm still... because something was sent, I think it was Dave sent it to us about this whole thing is really all in Steven's head and the asylum is the real part. I'm thinking this had a very, what was it? Buffy the Vampire Slayer in one of the episodes. Like it's supposed to be, she's got this whole world in her head and she's really in an insane asylum.
Right.
I kind of had that feel for a second and I'm like, now I'm really wondering which could be real. I'm going to go with the world with the gods because that being in an insane asylum was just too sad. And I love the fact that there was 2 fish at the end. I was hoping Layla was somewhere around, but...
That was odd.
Yeah.
The 2 fish thing?
No, not having Layla around. How could she not be part of this, the ending like this?
Right.
Maybe she went to go get breakfast.
Yeah, brother. No, I'm convinced now the God's world is real too. This, the psychiatric ward where he's talking to Haro, that's all a mental construct. And they just fell back into that mental construct until they decided to just leave it. And he knows the truth about Haro. No, he knows that in real life Haro's walked around with bloody feet. Glass in his shoes.
They never did explain that, but
no,
I'm just assuming it's supposed to be penance.
I know. Yeah, he's just torturing himself.
That's weird.
We all do that. At the psychiatric hospital, a disheveled and sedated Arthur Haro knocks over a cup of coffee into his drawing. The hospital attendant signals that it's time for bed. However, as she approaches Haro, a gloved man tells her in Spanish that he's got him, and he begins to wheel Haro away. As they're heading down the hallway, Haro grows concerned as he begins to notice slumped bodies in the hallway. In the reception area, Haro is placed inside a long white limo as the driver heads to the front seat. Looking across from him, Haro spots Khonshu in a white formal suit because it's prom night.
That's why they're in the limo.
Can't hurt us. Bemused, Khonshu reveals that he never wanted Layla as avatar after they parted ways. Why would he ever need another avatar when Mark doesn't realize how troubled he truly is? As the limo window divider rolls down, Khonshu introduces Haro to Mark's third alter, Jake Lockley, who shoots him. The limo with the plates SPKTR, Spectre, drives off into the unknown.
I thought that was interesting.
Looking awful rough in that scene. They had a white suit on, but the beak was almost all gone, and
it was weird how they shrank him down so much, and maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, in the Jeff Lemire comics, that's how he appeared to young Mark Spector too, in a suit dressed like that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody posted a photo and it had the limo and everything, but I don't understand the Jake Lockley thing. I thought he was supposed to be a cab driver. I mean, granted, cab drivers can ride limos, whatever, and I thought he was supposed to be from New York.
Yeah, well, we don't know if we're going to see a season 2 or not. They say not, but I don't believe them.
Right.
They told us we weren't getting any more Loki either, so
yeah, right.
There's that.
Well, yeah, I don't understand why the imagery behind you have to be a limo. I mean, it's just fun, I guess. Maybe that's what Khonshu prefers. I'm not going to ride in a cab.
Right.
So, what do we got next? Anybody interested in Easter eggs?
I love Easter eggs.
Even if it's after Easter.
Yes.
Yep. So Moon Knight's episode 6 intro song confirms Mark's death. The Moon Knight's season 1 finale begins. See that? He said season 1. Begins Earl Grant's crooning his 1958 song, The End, a number chosen to commemorate the death of Mark Spector. Grant, Earl, not Stephen, sings about the end of a story at the end of a river, which relates nicely to Mark's arrival on the field of reeds after successfully crossing the Duat. Moon Knight's choice of soundtrack serves as a confirmation that Mark is properly dead at this point, and nothing short of divine intervention will spare him. Well, it's a good thing we got to see a lot of gods bouncing around.
Yes.
So the ibis statue in Amit's tomb foreshadows Arthur Harrow's future. Alexander the Great's tomb, the final resting place of Amit, was introduced back in Moon Knight episode 5 after Stephen and Layla discovered the legendary burial chamber. When Ethan Hawke's Arthur Harrow crouches over Mark's watery corpse in Moon Knight episode 6, however, the tomb's ibis statue, the heron-like bird, comes prominently into frame. The sacred bird carries vast swaths of symbolism within the ancient Egyptian culture, but one meaning behind the ibis is balance. The statue sitting unevenly in Harrow's right may, therefore foreshadow Moon Knight's later revelation that Amit deems her servant impure. The scales do not balance.
That's going pretty deep. Because I mean, as much as you try to take everything in, I did not even notice that. And then the fact that they're putting it so like, oh, look it was a little off and it was leaning this way. Like, okay, I get it. You're trying to make this huge, like, world and show us the symbolism, but cheese and rice. Like, if you're going that deep, you're going to have to send everybody notes. Because that's a lot.
Yeah, they tilted the fight scene between Moon Knight and Harrow. Also, I mean, Harrow's at the top of the pyramid, and instead of flying to the top of the pyramid, Mark lands just below him. And then they turn the scene and they're running at each other. I mean, it was cool.
See, again, didn't even think about that because I'm just like, oh, it's how they're framing it. Okay, it's on a pyramid, blah blah blah. But it's like really interesting now that it's out there. It's like, oh, it's like how the scales were. Is it going to be a balanced fight? Is it in one favor or the other? And I think they did the same when we had our kaiju gods. Now I'm going to have to watch this again and look at it totally differently.
Well, you'll love it. It's fun. So, Moon Knight's episode 6 transforms May Columway's Layla into the MCU's version of the Scarlet Scarab. And its transition teased with all the subtlety of Jake Lockley street fight, right? We've had the little scarab nickname, her father's red scarf, and the finger bandage worn during Mark's hospital vision. Before paying all these hints off, Moon Knight episode 6 drops 2 more moments of Scarlet Scarab foreshadowing. Wow, that was a tongue twister. First, Layla seizes the scarab-shaped compass Arthur Harrow leaves perched on Mark's lifeless chest. Then Khonshu paraphrases her father by using the nickname Little Bug. Yeah, he's been around. You know what? Leaving that scarab there, I thought that she would grab it because it floats out of her hand, right?
Yep.
And so I thought for sure she's just going to use that to track them. And that's how they run. But then the next thing you know, she's actually with them.
Right.
I don't know.
I thought that was kind of dumb, leaving it thinking, yeah, okay, anybody can track me now.
Yeah. Evil geniuses can be pretty dumb. So Mark and Stephen's Moon Knight hug copies a comic book moment. Cool. A distraught Mark Spector rescues Stephen Grant from the Duat damnation. His full balanced heart proving enough to thaw out the frozen altar. Mark acknowledges Stephen saved his life and delighted to be together again. They share an emotional embrace. I wonder if he leaked the brother he lost. I never thought of it that way.
Right.
Wow. This scene pulls squarely from Jeff Lemire's Moon Knight number 9, in which Mark bids farewell to his altar and hugs Stephen before he goes. Though the two Oscar Isaacs hug back in episode 4's hospital sequence, this posthumous reunion feels thematically closer to the comic scene.
So, is this when they used his brother again? So he's not like hugging air?
Probably.
Speaking of Layla, by accepting a gig as Tarwood's human altar, I don't know how she's going to turn this down, though. If there is a future, well, that was fun. Can we do this again? Layla Al-Fawli becomes an MCU version of the Marvel comic character known as the Scarlet Scarab. Her superhero costume incorporates a scarab motif in the torso and wings, and even includes a red scarab logo upon the chest. I was disappointed not to see some headgear.
Right.
You know, it's even something like a tiara with the a serpent on it or something like that.
Yep.
Or a scarab, whatever.
Or hippo ears.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been amazing.
That
wiggle.
flick.
Yeah. Layla's comic proxy, Marlene Arlan, had absolutely no connection to the Scarlet Scarab, but several Moon Knight Easter eggs pay tribute to the original. Layla's father was Abdullah El Fawli, while the first person to hold the Marvel Scarlet Scarab title in the comics was Abdul Faul. And whereas Abdul passed his superhero persona down to his son, Tyrward claims that Layla's father would be overjoyed to learn of the hero she becomes. She said, "You can talk to my father?"
Yeah. Hold on a minute here.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier Arthur Harrow's bloody feet, so Moon Knight's final battle is brought to a rapid conclusion courtesy of Jake Lockley's blackout. And before you can say, "Oh, bollocks," or "You donut," Moon Knight throws Stephen and Mark back into therapy with Dr. Harrow. I wonder how much he's charging them. This time, both Oscar Isaacs break through the illusion, assuming it is an illusion, and I'm saying it is too, when they notice Harrow leaving a trail of bloody footprints as he walks. This image calls back to Moon Knight's very first scene in which the cult leader filled his sandals with broken glass. Yeesh. Stephen reclaimed Moon Knight's later Gators catchphrase. Yes, as Mark and Stephen wake up in the latter's London apartment, Engelbert's Humperdinck, A Man Without Love, plays in the background. This was, of course, a song Moon Knight opened with way back in episode 1. Mark and Stephen also appeared to be wearing the same pajamas from Moon Knight's premiere, and despite the two alters making friends, they still use Steve's ankle restraint, presumably because they're vaguely aware of Jake Lockley lurking in the shadows. Or it's just Jake Lockley making sure.
Yes.
The similarity between Moon Knight's first and final episodes create a sense of coming full circle. Stephen Grant is right back where he started, but this time Mark Spector is a friend, not someone to remain fearful of. So is he going to go back and get his job back?
Yeah. I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, I think he's going for a different line of work now.
He'll be an archaeologist.
Yep.
Mark and Stephen's two pet goldfish, yes. The two goldfish are better than one, and this Moon Knight episode 6 Easter egg shows Gus as the two-fingered imposter, now accompanied by a second little swimmer. It's a neat representation how Mark and Stephen have finally found balance and harks back to the episode title of Moon Knight's episode number 1, The Goldfish Problem. A problem no longer. The problem in question may not have been Gus suddenly growing an extra fin, but how Gus, much like Stephen, was lonely. Oh, presumably a piranha in a final cap is just about out of shot. Oh, don't say that. Driving a taxi around.
Maybe there's a little cab in the bottom of the tank that we missed.
Yeah.
all that stuff in the bottom of the tank actually appeared in the show, too, including the doors of Osiris. When Moon Knight first switched abruptly from Alexander the Great's tomb to a pristine white psychiatric hospital in episode 4, a rubber duck could be spotted underneath the TV showing the Tomb Buster. When Moon Knight's post-credit reveals Arthur Harrow in a psychiatric facility of his own, the sequence once again begins with a rubber duck, this time dressed like Dr. Harrow from Mark's Mind Hospital. A second rubber duck can then be spotted in a desk near where Jake Lockley killed a staff member. Wow, that's a lot of rubber ducks.
Yeah.
Moon Knight's last QR code sets up in Kang the Conqueror. Now, raise your hand if you tried to get that last QR code.
I didn't see it. Damn it.
I couldn't get my phone. It wouldn't grab it. It was like
too small?
Square on the screen.
Right. It was kind of off at an angle.
Yeah. Moon Knight's episode have been peppered with QR codes that viewers can scan to download free Marvel comic books, and typically these comics relate to the respective episode. Moon Knight episode 6 Easter egg QR code is easily the most exciting that leads to fans to Moon Knight Annual number 1, an epic battle between the titular hero and Kang the Conqueror. Oh, that's foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Having sort of debuted in Loki, Kang is widely tipped as the MCU's new overarching villain, and he will appear in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Does this final QR code imply Moon Knight will be involved in MCU's Kang battle?
Oh, that's interesting. So maybe.
I sure hope so. Yeah.
So here's a thought. All right, now we're going tinfoil right here. So we might not be getting a season 2 of Moon Knight, but what if we're getting Moon Knight and Scarlet Scarab? But first, we're going to get them in Loki, and that's why they're not officially announcing it as a season 2, because they're changing the name.
Right.
I mean, it's a thought, and we're going to see him in Loki first, and then possibly in Ant-Man. Hell, I haven't gone to see Doctor Strange yet. They could be in there for all we know. So
I would have heard about that one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wish so.
Some people can keep secrets really well. Just saying, there was one particular person in the last Spider-Man that I was like, what? How did I not hear about this? So it's possible. It's possible. Tinfoily, but possible.
Yeah. So why does Jake Lockley drive a limo because he's not in New York. Arriving in a limo is in a fairly ostentatious way to make your Moon Knight debut. Where does Jake Lockley's ride come from? In the Marvel comics, Lockley drove a taxi, so chauffeuring a limo would be an example of the MCU's creative leeway. And that they do. Another explanation of Moon Knight finally introducing a key element of Stephen Grant's comic book backstory. Stephen is a millionaire in the source material. A trait no doubt perpetuates those Bruce Wayne comparisons. Yeah, that was a problem for them. Affording London rent prices on a museum gift shop wage is certainly impressive, but Oscar Isaac Stephen shows no signs of wealth. Does that mean Jake Lockley has a big bank balance in Moon Knight?
I was thinking that was, instead of getting like the ceremonial robes, for some reason it came up as a freaking limo. It's like, yeah, this is my robe instead.
So as Jake wheels a helpless Arthur Harrow to Khonshu's waiting limo, the hospital name is revealed as Sienkiewicz Psychiatric Hospital. This is a loving, perhaps, nod to a renowned 1980s Moon Knight comic book artist Bill Sienkiewicz. I think so.
Yep.
And
sprinkle all that in there with the names of the artists.
Yeah. I don't know if I would be happy being remembered as the psych hospital, but whatever. They found a way to do it. The flat cap that Oscar Isaac wears while he's playing Jake Lockley represents a nod towards his particular alter's Marvel comic counterpart, who would often wear the same charcoal gray headgear. Yep, that's pretty signature. Khonshu is in a suit of mirrors' comic appearance. Khonshu can't help but gloat while revealing Jake Lockley as his new avatar, and has even purchased a smart new tuxedo for the occasion. Having previously adorned himself exclusively in bandages and robes, the white suit represents a stark fashion statement from Khonshu, but it's a style his comic guys is already very familiar with. In the Jeff Lemire run, which Moonlight follows, with such adulation, features Khonshu wearing more or less exactly the same white threads. Yep, with his thumbs tucked underneath the collar there.
Under the lapels.
Yes, right.
Hey, at least he didn't give Harrow / Amit, a corsage. That might have been a little weird when he got it.
Do you have a problem with not seeing him actually die? Just flashes inside the limo?
I never believe that somebody dies unless we see it on screen, and then it's still iffy, depending on what we're watching.
The license plate on Jake Lockley's limo reads Spectre, more or less. Obviously, a note to Mark Spector. The license plates really come from the Moon Knight comics, where Steven's limo is fitted with precisely the same lettering. Now, I had a knee-jerk reflex to Spectre, the DC hero.
Right.
He's kind of big and ghostly himself. So Moon Knight's final song explains Khonshu's return. The Moon Knight closes out with Frank Sinatra's My Way of Life, a song that tacitly explains the newly forged relationship between Jake Lockley and Khonshu. It can't be too long before Stephen and Mark figure out what's going on. It just can't.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, so lyrics include, you are my way of life, the only way I know, I'll never let you go. Oh, man, the line could apply equally to Lockley, a lover of violence now free to kill under Khonshu's influence, or the Egyptian god himself, who has chosen Mark Spector as the ideal host to his various altars.
It sucks, but I mean, he did let go of Mark and Steven. He was very specific the way he said it, because that's how Steven worded it. So he didn't exactly lie.
Yeah, but it still can't last. I mean, those two are going to have to figure it out.
They're going to figure it out.
And they refer to Mark Spector on the limo, so Mark Spector is Moon Knight. So it just can't last. Come on, season 2. Yes.
Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts on each and every episode of this season and any upcoming seasons. Our deadline for feedback is 6 p.m. Eastern every Friday during the season. You can send your feedback via email or audio to contact us at fangirlzone.com.
Please review and rate us on iTunes and any other platform you use for your podcast with good ratings and a review. It helps other fans of the show find us, as there are plenty of other Marvel podcasts out there. Tell your friends, and I hope you're enjoying our... Yeah, but they don't have limos like we do.
Yeah.
Tell your friends, and I hope you're enjoying our podcast, and don't forget to check out the other great Fangirl Zone podcasts.
You can check us out at www.fangirlzone.com. We have a contacts page where you can reach us various ways. And yes, even though we will not be answering it live on air, if you send us something, we will still answer you specifically, even after the season/series is over. Hopefully it's just the season. But anyway, for this episode of the Marvelous Post-Blip podcast,
I'm Steve. Well, we did learn from the best, you silly old bird.
I'm Shawn Fangirl S. And did you see those kaijus, or did I eat something weird?
And this is Mischievous Dave, and I want Layla to take me under her wing. Her wing.
There is nothing wrong with your internet. Do not attempt to adjust your settings. We are controlling the podcast. We control the squealing and the screams. We can make your heart flutter, your eyes blur from tears, or sharpen your mind to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit back. We are in control of what you hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your settings. You are about to experience the awe and mystery known as the female mind. You are now entering the Fangirl Zone.